curriculum in multicultural context, unit objectives. At the end of the unit, the student will be able to explain the concept of culturally relevant curriculum, develop skills for selecting and organizing student experiences in multicultural context, select and use curriculum materials which are free of prejudices, stereotype, bias, ethnocentrism, etc. Evaluate curriculum materials from a multicultural perspective. Plan and organize multicultural extracurricular and out-of-school activities. Fundamental values and characteristics of culturally relevant curriculum. As classrooms become more and more culturally diverse, the need to infuse multicultural content into the curriculum becomes increasingly evident. This digest presents an overview of strategies with practical examples to meet the needs of students who are diverse in two ways, by ability and by ethnicity. It offers suggestions for promoting gifted education that is multicultural. One way of integrating multicultural content into the curriculum involves 4 levels or approaches. Banks and Banks, 1993. The Contributions approach, Level 1, focuses on heroes, holidays, and discrete elements and is the most extensively used approach to multiculturalism in the schools. In this approach, the traditional ethnocentric curriculum remains unchanged in its basic structure, goals, and salient characteristics. Cultural traditions, foods, music, and dance may be discussed, but little or no attention is given to their meaning and significance to minority groups. The additive approach, Level 2, adds content, concepts, themes, and perspectives of minority groups to the curriculum without changing its structure. For instance, teachers may add a book, unit, or course to the curriculum that focuses on diverse groups or topics. However, the students may not have the knowledge base to understand multicultural concepts, issues, and groups. Minority students learn little of their own history, and the rest of the students learn little of the history and contributions of other racial and cultural groups to mainstream society. The transformational approach, Level 3, involves changing the structure of the curriculum to enable students to view concepts, issues, events, and themes from the perspectives of minority groups. One now sees changes in the basic assumptions, goals, nature, and structure of the curriculum. In the social action approach, Level 4, students make decisions on important social issues and take action to help solve them. Students feel empowered and are proactive. They are provided with the knowledge, values, and skills necessary to participate in social change. Student self-examination becomes central in this approach through value analysis, decision-making, problem-solving, and social action experiences. Levels of integrating multicultural contents. One strategy for creating multicultural gifted education is to blend the works of Banks and Banks, 1993, and Bloom, 1956. This framework, described below, serves as a guide for helping educators promote higher-level thinking based on Bloom's cognitive taxonomy, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, and to promote multicultural thinking based on the 4 levels presented by Banks and Banks, 1993. The lowest levels of both models, for example, knowledge contributions, involve fact-based questions, statements, and activities that do not promote higher-level thinking or substantive multicultural experiences. Conversely, at the highest levels of both models, for example, evaluation social action, Students think critically about and take action on multicultural topics, concepts, material, and events. Here is an example of a lower-level question contrasted with more complex multicultural. The following outline illustrates the blending of multicultural and gifted education at all levels of Bloom's taxonomy, followed by an example of each type of student assignment. This outline can help educators to develop questions and learning experiences that are challenging, rigorous, and multicultural. Contributions approach, knowledge. Students are taught and know facts about cultural artifacts, events, groups, and other cultural elements. Comprehension. Students show an understanding of information about cultural artifacts, groups, and other cultural elements. Application. Students are asked to and can apply information learned on cultural artifacts, events, and other cultural elements. Analysis. Students are taught to and can analyze, for example, compare and contrast, information about cultural artifacts, groups, and other cultural elements. Synthesis. Students are required to and can create a new product from the information on cultural artifacts, groups, and other cultural elements. Evaluation. Students are taught to and can evaluate facts and information based on cultural artifacts, groups, and other cultural elements. Additive approach, knowledge. Students are taught and know concepts and themes about cultural groups. Comprehension. Students are taught and can understand cultural concepts and themes. Application. Students are required to and can apply information learned about cultural concepts and themes. Analysis. Students are taught to and can analyze important cultural concepts and themes. Synthesis. Students are asked to and can synthesize important information on cultural concepts and themes. Evaluation. Students are taught to and can critique cultural concepts and themes. Transformative approach, knowledge. Students are given information on important cultural elements, groups, and other cultural elements, and can understand this information from different perspectives. Comprehension. Students are taught to understand and can demonstrate an understanding of important cultural concepts and themes from different perspectives. Application. Students are asked to and can apply their understanding of important concepts and themes from different perspectives. Analysis. Students are taught to and can examine important cultural concepts and themes from more than one perspective. Synthesis. Students are required to and can create a product based on their new perspective or the perspective of another group. Evaluation. Students are taught to and can evaluate or judge important cultural concepts and themes from different viewpoints. Social action approach, knowledge, based on information on cultural artifacts, etc. Students make recommendations for social action. Comprehension. Based on their understanding of important concepts and themes, students make recommendations for social action. Application. Students are asked to can apply their understanding of important social and cultural issues. They make recommendations for and take action on these issues. Analysis. Students are required to and can analyze social and cultural issues from different perspectives. They take action on these issues. Synthesis. Students create a plan of action to address one or more social and cultural issues. They seek important social change. Evaluation. Students critique important social and cultural issues, and seek to make national and/or international change. Selecting and evaluating multicultural materials. 1. Delivery. Delivery must acknowledge and address a diversity of learning styles while challenging dynamics of power and privilege in the classroom. Vary instructional techniques. Lecture, cooperative learning, dialogue, individual work, student teaching. Understand the dynamics of power in the room so you do not perpetuate privilege and oppression. Who do you call on? Who do you encourage to work through a problem, and to whom do you provide the answer? Challenge the notion of teaching as mastery. Ask students what they already know about a topic. Ask students what they want to learn about a topic. Ask students to participate in the teaching of a topic. 2. Content. Content must be complete and accurate, acknowledging the contributions and perspectives of all groups. Ensure that the content is as complete and accurate as possible. Avoid tokenism. We've content about underrepresented groups. Do you present underrepresented groups as the other? Do you address these groups only through special units and lesson plans, or within the context of the larger curriculum? Do you celebrate difference or study, explore, and acknowledge it as part of the overall curriculum? Study the history of discrimination in curriculum and ensure that you are not replicating it. 3. Teaching and learning materials. Teaching and learning materials must be diverse and critically examined for bias. Vary instructional materials. Texts, newspapers, videos, movies, games, workbooks. Examine all materials for bias and oppressive content. Does your history book show stereotypical or inaccurate images of people from certain groups or eras? Do your science materials use male-centric language? Do your reading or literature materials have racist language or stereotypical images? Diversify images and content in bulletin boards, posters, and other constantly visible materials. Do you always diversify, or only during special months or celebrations? 4. Perspective. Content must be presented from a variety of perspectives and angles in order to be accurate and complete. Present content from a variety of perspectives, not only that of majority groups. Present content through a variety of lenses, not just those of a few heroic characters. 5. Critical inclusivity. Students must be engaged in the teaching and learning process, transcend the banking method, and facilitate experiences in which students learn from each other's experiences and perspectives. Bring the perspectives and experiences of the students themselves to the fore in the learning experience. Encourage students to ask critical questions about all information they receive from you and curricular materials, and model this type of critical thinking for them. Make content and delivery relevant for the students, facilitate experiences in which they connect it with their everyday lives. Recognize your students as your most important multicultural resources. 6. Social and civic responsibility. If we hope to prepare students to be active participants in an equitable democracy, we must educate them about social justice issues and model a sense of civic responsibility within the curriculum. Starting with the youngest students, incorporate discussions about difference and inequality into your lessons. This can be done across all subject areas. Look for ways in which recognized names in various disciplines use their work and stature to fight social injustices. When an opportunity arises to address racism, sexism, homophobia, classism, or other forms of oppression, facilitate it. Have honest discussion with your students about the history of privilege and oppression in your subject area, school, education, and society at large. connect teaching and learning to local community and larger global issues. 7. Assessment. Curriculum must be constantly assessed for completeness, accuracy and bias. Work with a cohort of teachers to examine and critique each other's curricular units, lesson plans, and entire frameworks. Request and openly accept feedback from your students. Return to this model from time to time to make sure you haven't reverted to former practices. The hidden curriculum in multicultural context. Hidden curriculum refers to the unwritten, unofficial, and often unintended lessons, values, and perspectives that students learn in school. While the formal curriculum consists of the courses, lessons, and learning activities students participate in, as well as the knowledge and skills educators intentionally teach to students, the hidden curriculum consists of the unspoken academic, cultural, and social messages that are communicated to students while they are in school. The hidden curriculum concept is based on the recognition that students recognize and absorb lessons in school that may or may not be part of the formal course of study, for example, how they should interact with peers, teachers, and other adults. How they should perceive different races, groups, or classes of people. Or what ideas and behaviors are considered acceptable or unacceptable. The hidden curriculum is described as hidden, because it is usually unacknowledged or unexamined by students, educators, and the wider community. And because the values and lessons reinforced by the hidden curriculum are often the accepted status quo, it may be assumed that these hidden practices and messages don't need to change, even if they are contributing to undesirable behaviors and results, whether it's bullying, conflicts, or low graduation and college enrollment rates, for example. It should be noted that a hidden curriculum can reinforce the lessons of the formal curriculum, or it can contradict the formal curriculum, revealing hypocrisy or inconsistencies between a school's stated mission, values, and convictions and what students actually experience and learn while they are in school. For example, a school may claim that it's committed to ensuring that all students succeed academically, but a review of its actual performance data may reveal significant racial or socio-economic discrepancies when it comes to test scores, graduation rates, and other measures of success. And because what is not taught in school can sometimes be as influential or formative as what is taught, the hidden curriculum also extends to subjects, values, and messages that are omitted from the formal curriculum and ignored, overlooked, or disparaged by educators. While the hidden curriculum in any given school encompasses an enormous variety of potential intellectual, social, and environmental factors, far too many to extensively catalogue here, the following examples will help to illustrate the concept and how it might play out in schools. Cultural expectations. The academic, social, and behavioral expectations established by schools and educators communicate messages to students. For example, one teacher may give tough assignments and expect all students to do well on those assignments, while another teacher may give comparatively easy assignments and habitually award all students passing grades, even when their work quality is low. In high expectations class, students may learn much more and experience a greater sense of accomplishment, whereas students in the low expectations class may do just enough work to get by and be comparatively uninterested in the lessons they are being taught. Similarly, schools may unconsciously hold students from different cultural backgrounds, for example, recently arrived immigrant students or students with disabilities, to lower academic expectations, which may have unintended or negative effects on their academic achievement. educational aspirations, or feelings of self-worth. Cultural values, the values promoted by schools, educators, and peer groups, such as cliques, may also convey hidden messages. For example, some schools may expect and reward conformity, while punishing non-conformity, whereas other schools might celebrate and even encourage non-conformity. In one school, students learn that following the rules, acting in expected ways, and not questioning adults are rewarded behaviors, while in other schools students learn that personal expression, taking initiative, or questioning authority are valued and rewarded behaviors. Similarly, if biased or prejudicial behaviors and statements are tolerated in a school, students may embrace the values that are, either explicitly or implicitly, accepted or modeled by adults and other students. Cultural perspectives, how schools recognize, integrate, or honor diversity and multicultural perspectives may convey both intentional and unintended messages. For example, some schools may expect recently arrived immigrant students and their families to assimilate into mainstream culture, for example, by requiring the students to speak English in school at all times or by not providing translated informational materials or other specialized assistance to parents and families. Other schools, however, may actively integrate or celebrate the multicultural diversity of the student body by inviting students and parents to share stories about their home country, for example, or by posting and publishing informational materials in multiple languages. In one school, non-mainstream cultures may be entirely ignored, while in another they may be actively celebrated, with students experiencing feelings of either isolation or inclusion as a result. Curricular topics, the subjects that teachers choose for courses and lessons may convey different ideological, cultural, or ethical messages. For example, the history of the United States may be taught in a wide variety of ways using different historical examples, themes, and perspectives. A teacher may choose to present the history of the world or the United States from the perspective of the European settlers and explorers, or she may choose to present it from the perspective of displaced Native Americans or colonized African and Asian peoples. In the first case, teaching curricular topics may also often intersect with, or be influenced by, political, ideological, and moral differences that are broadly contentious in large part of the society. For example, teaching evolution in science courses, multiculturalism in social studies, or sex education in health courses. Teaching strategies, the way that schools and teachers choose to educate students can convey both intentional and unintended messages. For example, if students earn good grades or extra credit for turning in homework on time, listening attentively, participating during class, raising their hands, and, generally doing things they are told to do, the students may learn that compliance is important and that certain behaviors will be academically rewarded and allowed to compensate for learning deficiencies. On the other hand, instructional strategies such as project-based learning or community-based learning, to name just two options, may communicate specific messages, for example, that skills such as critical thinking and problem-solving, and attributes such as persistence, resourcefulness, and self-motivation, are valued and important, in the case of project-based learning, or that being informed about and involved in local issues are valued and important, in the case of community-based learning. School structures, the way that a school or academic program is organized and operated can convey messages to students. For example, Students with physical or learning disabilities are enrolled in specialized programs that are relegated to windowless classrooms in the basement. These organizational decisions may have unintended effects on the student's sense of cultural belonging, self-worth, or academic potential. In addition, the structure of a school program can also mirror or reinforce cultural biases or prejudices. For example, students from lower-income households are often disproportionately represented in lower-level courses, and special education programs may inadvertently reinforce some of the social stigmas that children and adults with disabilities experience outside of school. Institutional rules. The formal rules in a school may communicate a wide variety of intentional and unintentional messages to students. For example, some schools require students to wear school uniforms, some ban certain types of attire, short skirts, clothing with images and language considered to be inappropriate, and others have very liberal or permissive clothing policies. While the intent of formal school rules and policies tells students how they are expected to behave, the degree to which they are enforced or unenforced, or the ways in which they are enforced, may communicate messages that undermine or contradict their stated intent. In this case, stricter dress code policies may communicate that students will be judged on appearances both inside and out of school based, while looser policies might communicate that they will be judged on other qualities. Generally speaking, the concept of a hidden curriculum in schools has become more widely recognized, discussed, and addressed in recent decades. Ideas such as equity, voice, and multicultural education, to name just a few, have arguably led to greater tolerance, understanding, and even celebration of physical and cultural differences in public schools. In addition, school communities, educators, and students are more likely to actively and openly reflect on or question their own assumptions, biases, and tendencies. For example, topics such as bullying and diversity are now regularly and widely discussed in schools, and academic lessons, assignments, readings, and materials are now more likely to include multicultural perspectives, topics, and examples. Political and social pressures, including factors such as the increased scrutiny that has resulted from online media and social networking, may also contribute to greater awareness of unintended lessons and messages in schools. For example, harmful, hurtful, or unhealthy student behaviors are now regularly surfaced on social networking sites such as Facebook or Instagram, which often leads to greater awareness of student behaviors or social trends. That said, a hidden curriculum is, by nature, hidden, which means that many of its lessons and messages are difficult to perceive or acknowledge for any number of reasons. For example, long-standing policies may become so deeply embedded in a school culture that people simply forget to question them, or a school faculty that prides itself on celebrating multicultural diversity may find it emotionally difficult to acknowledge and openly discuss behaviors that seem to contradict that identity. For this reason, every school will always have some form of hidden curriculum.